basically get a link click. Well, it was over $1 top of funnel, so actually I get it for a third here. So I may just turn off link clicks top of funnel, because if I can get someone to watch one of those longer videos, they're going to come in here anyway and test for a third. So I can fill up this bucket a little bit more than I can for my top of funnel. So I think that actually kind of answers my question. Then the interesting thing is, when we start to take a look at, as we start to take at leads, lead conversion. Well, right now, again, our lead cost ideally is we're looking for below $15 leads. Well, if I'm getting $10 leads, $9 leads, great. The thing is I got to make sure this doesn't overflow, but this is a good lead cost overall. So what I want to do for application to concept is, what buckets are you focusing on right now? As you're running your media buying, I know a lot of people think they have to be in bucket number 1. And a lot of people are like, hey, I don't know if I can do bucket number 2. And bucket number 3 is scary. You should not be in bucket number 3 unless you have a proven offer. You're going to hover between bucket number 1 and bucket number 2. Most of the times we start with clients in bucket number 2 because we want to get baseline numbers. We're not trying to make money. We're trying to figure out what the baseline numbers are. So we in the first 30 days, if we can break even, amazing. And then once we have the baseline numbers, we move to bucket number 1. Very few people start in bucket number 1 and start profitably. The other thing is if this was your budget, what would you be doing, right? If you were running this, if you were making decisions, would you be going after more leads because you have copywriting skills like Mike Dillard that can do some phenomenal email copy? Would you be using the simple math like I'm using, where I want to get 34 new video viewers versus just 1 new lead? I'm always very curious as you're thinking about this, and you can either type it in, or it's kind of a rhetorical question, which is, what would you do? Would you be looking at turning up ad spend for video views? What would you be doing exactly? The other thing is I want to go ahead and dive into our account and make some of those decisions. But before we dive into the account and make some of those decisions, I want to make sure we come to the other part, which is very important, which is, where'd it go? It is right. Give me a bio break for a second too. Here. Questions, comments, thoughts to that last section? I'll take just a couple of moments here so I can take a bite of my amazing breakfast taco to see if any of you have any questions or comments that you want to go ahead and type in here. Any clarification on the training? Was that helpful, beneficial? Does it help you kind of think through the process? We can get into button clicks in here in a little bit, but if you really understand the process and how to think through this, at the end of the day, what I'm looking to do is this. I want to provide you with the right critical thinking skills, so when it comes down to it, you can see the map to help you get started through the belt. But what our goal is, after you take the 10 weeks, after you have been running ads for a while, we would hope that after the 6 months is up, that you would continue to stay inside of our support group, because you have figured out the critical thinking skills of exactly what to do next. Maybe you just want to be caught up to date with what's working now on Facebook and what people are seeing out there. But if I can give you some checklists now that then turn into critical thinking, so that you don't necessarily need those checklists later, you know exactly what to do, and you just want to be kept up to speed, oh my goodness, I would have definitely made sure that you were getting a big old return on that investment. So helpful, great. I'm just getting started. So while I want to be in bucket 1, my goal is bucket 2. Great job. Absolutely. Absolutely. Any other questions or comments on this section before we move into the next section? So
Zahid said Zahid just put a question and said he just got here, and yes, Zahid, there will be a replay of this. We'll get the recording out in the next day or so after it renders.
Absolutely. We'll make sure you have all that information. All right. So I'll basically just talk for just another moment, see if anybody else has any other questions, and I'll move on to the next part. So I have 2 options to go from here. You get to choose your own adventure. By the way, Nick and I have produced videos on YouTube some time back. One of our offers was called the Scale Method. And we did a Choose Your Own Adventure video series. Just to let you know, Choose Your Own Adventure is trademarked. If anybody would like to know that information, Nick and I know that because, well, I think we may have gotten a letter on that. But at this point, you get to choose your own adventures. We're talking about this out loud. And essentially what that is this. Now, some people ask questions about CBO. I can show you how we're running leads on CBO if that's something that interests you. the other thing that I'm working on right now, so if I was to hang up the phone right now, I would be jumping right on into our next promotion. And here's what I mean by that. So this weekend in our free group, I cannot stress enough, whatever kind of marketing you're doing, if you can help establish FOMO, fear of missing out, it is one of the most powerful elixirs you can make in marketing. So what I like to do, what I will do, like with this interview, I'll take a couple of cuts out of this interview. They're just some golden nuggets, and I'll post them in the free group. And I post them for just a limited amount of time. I post them just for the weekend. So people can watch during the weekend, but then it goes away. And I tell people, if you enjoy this information, it's just the tip of the iceberg. You'll get access to this information full time, but please remember, you just have a limited time to watch this information. So this weekend, what we did is a couple weeks ago, let me back up, a couple weeks ago, I took a poll, and basically we found out that a lot of people like the Watch Me Work sessions. It's the same question that we repeated in here that Nick asked in his poll. Well, when Nick asked that in his poll, pretty interesting enough, a lot of people here are also like the Watch Me Work sessions, which is great. So we have an opportunity where I can talk about CBO. You can watch me turn off some of these campaigns as I'm making some of these decisions. Or what we're doing right now is I want to get as many leads middle of funnel into my funnel as much as possible. My next personal goal is I want to make sure today and tomorrow that as many people in our Hot 28 who are not opted in are seeing that we have free content released. I have produced a 30-second video. I can show you exactly how I did that. I'm just about ready. If we weren't on the phone now, and again, I can walk you through this if you're interested. Because I want people to see this free training this weekend only, I have to run a really quick blitz, and people do things when time is running out. I have to do a really quick blitz over 2 days to try to get as many leads as possible into our free group so they can watch that free training. So if you would like to watch me run some CBO and turn that off, top of funnel, or see some of my decisions, that is option number 1. Option number 2, I will show you if you want to run a promotion like, hey, you have a Hot 28 right now and you just come up with a promotion and you would like to run that. I'll show you exactly how I produced a 30-second video to get started, how I set up those videos, and even I'll do a very quick bot ad just so you can see what's possible. And essentially what that is I want people to sign up for our Messenger, because if they sign up for Messenger, they can sign up for Messenger, text message, and email. So when it comes time for open enrollment, we're not only dependent on email. So would you like to see the top of funnel, how I make those adjustments? Or would you like to see how I'm taking that 30-second video to start the promotion? And would you like to watch me set up the very quick and easy funnel to collect messages, text, and email to get people ready for open enrollment? Just kind of curious. Put you on mute for just a second while you're answering that question.
So Sherlyn says the 30-second video would be helpful for her. And Kurt, I had sent you a text message a little bit earlier. Not sure if your phone's close by. So many choices. Another vote for 30-second video. And I know you're taking a quick break. Kurt, the other, I kind of had actually a question come up.
I was just going to say that.
Talking through that.
Please,
so,
please cover that.
And I think it'll be helpful for the group is, how strategic are you going to be as you turn down top of funnel, turn up middle of funnel? How strategic are you going to be about the content that's being served middle of funnel? Since we're going to be pushing towards people becoming, Belt Method members. I know we've got a lot of content that's just interviews with people, and there may be a mention of the belt, but it's not really specifically a strong call to action for what's inside or why they should get it. So do those videos continue to run, or do you look at videos more optimized for here's some of the content that you're going to be getting when you become a member of the family? So I figured that might be able to help a little bit here, but just curious on thoughts on strategery around content there, middle funnel, as you begin to scale up.
Yeah, it's interesting. What I tell a lot of people is, and again, I just say this for figurative language so people remember this. But I'm like, so many silly humans like ourselves constantly think that we have to control other silly humans so we get exactly what we want versus what they want. So a lot of people are like, well, do I start these videos and say, hey, watch the rest of this video in the next video, or watch video 1, video 2, video 3, video 4? And that is sequential retargeting, which you absolutely could do. What I've found that's really interesting is with the Hot 28, you can test both. I can have long form videos that don't lead to another video, but it's just more content, more content, more content. The reason we want people to opt in is so we can follow up. Well, we can do that with retargeting. Well, the reason we want people to watch video 1, then watch video 2 is we want them to continue to move on with the content. Why in the hell are we going to make them jump to video number 2 if we can just put all of it in video number 1? So a lot of times what I find is more content that can have either a call to action to a central area, but doesn't necessarily have to lead from one to the other. If you want to test that, you can. I like to be like, well, here's 20 videos about Facebook marketing. That's pretty broad. Facebook's going to figure out the best 4 videos for someone to watch. And if I go from video 1 to video 2 to video 3, they have to watch those in that order. The segment of the market for retargeting gets to be smaller, smaller, and smaller. So it's harder to retarget. So I've actually found, just like a webinar, well, let's get people to opt in so we can follow up. Let's get people to show up. And then let's follow up from that. Well, if you saw the process with Mr. Mike Dillard, for perfect example, Nick and I have decided to do something a little different when we do open enrollment. Well, with Mike, one of the things that we did is we did the live webinar, right? And the recording didn't go so well. And not a lot of people invested in the belt right away. And then by the time that we got the recording up and sent people back to the replay, Nick and I just decided